You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
I was raised to believe that the American dream was about pursuing happiness. As much as I hate to admit it, my happiness occasionally counted on the freedom to consume various substances. But it was the legal substances that changed my life forever. Now I question the motives that go into creating our modern drug laws, and the people who have been elected to protect us have become some of the people I fear the most.
And when it comes to drugs and alcohol, just say no.
We have allowed the government to declare a war on drugs because the majority of Americans haven't known any better. And they haven't really understood that all of this is a massive deception. It's a massive profit scheme.
We must wage what I have called total war against public enemy number one in the United States, the problem of dangerous drugs.
They can't even keep drugs out of the prison system. You know, they have guys in prison that ODs and things of that nature, even in the home.
What's happening here in America is that our government is inadvertently supplying the hard drugs to the people in this country. Then they're putting the people who use them in this country in jail.
Fixated on terror, most Americans have forgotten they are fighting another war.
Watch a nigga say, sew an eyeball back to your mama's sunny day, crying.
But from its inception, the drug war has become the longest, most costly and destructive war in American history.
The drug war is a perfect continuing example of why we will never win the war on terrorism. Because it captures the ineffectiveness of the U.S. government, and it captures the fact that it's being used against poor people and not against the people who benefit most from drugs, which are the bankers that launder the money.
We don't send nicotine addicts to jail, and we don't send alcoholics to jail. We shouldn't send drug addicts to jail.
Oh my God, do you mean they'll legalize marijuana and hey, you can buy heroin at 7-Eleven?
People have to realize that most of our history we didn't have federal laws against the use of drugs.
$50 billion a year at the local, state, and national level, clogging our courts year after year.
I mean, people fighting the drug war need to articulate that what we're after is not blanket legalization, but decriminalization.
Why in the world do we have millions of innocent young people wasting away in prison when the big people who are committing these huge, atrocious crimes are getting away every day?
My own personal opinion, I think the jail cell is better than the rehab.
This year is the 30th anniversary of the Drug Enforcement Agency. It was created by Richard Nixon in 1973, and Richard Nixon is really the creator of this drug war from 1971.
With every passing day of this drug war, the battle line seems to be getting harder and harder to see. And yet it's almost impossible to believe that the same rules apply to everyone.
Well, a lot of us are very uncomfortable with this notion of a war on drugs. So what we attempted to do was articulate a very different concept, which was viewing the drug issue as a cancer affecting American communities.
You used the wrong word. You said war. If this was a war, we would have solved the war and won the war. This is the greatest country in the world. When we go to win a war, we win it.
We got more drugs today than we did 10 years ago, and that's got to tell you that there is something bigger that's not being shown.
In 1972, when Richard Nixon started the war on drugs, the federal budget allocation was $101 million. Going into fiscal year 2000, the federal budget allocation was $20 billion. Yet there were more drugs in the country in 2000. They were of better quality and they were less expensive than they were in 1972. What's wrong with that picture?
We arrested 14 people targeting high schools selling heroin.
We almost totally eliminated the production of coca.
The drug warriors love to talk about illegal drugs, but what drives the motives to legalize certain harmful and equally addictive substances?
Money. Money controls this whole movement. You have a group called the Partnership for a Drug-Free America. Well, first of all, of course, we don't have a drug-free America, never have, never will. But who are the funders? Who are the main funders? What's the funding for the Partnership for a Drug-Free America? Of all.
Hello, radio listeners. Hello, TV viewers. I want to say hi to everybody out there watching today. We really appreciate you tuning in to the TV transmission and the internet radio show. My good friend Kevin Booth, AmericanDrugWar.com, is our guest. You can go to Infowars.com and get the film for $24.95. Airing on Showtime, award-winning, 3 hours of extras. I'm in it, in the extras. It's just amazing. Kevin, you've got the floor for the next 54 minutes. We're going to take calls the last 20 or so, but you've got a good 30 minutes to talk about whatever you want. Tell the story of the film and then break it down. And then later talk about. I mean, I burn with anger, even when I'm not on air, and you know that, and I know you do, knowing they ship it in and then put us in prison for it. It's so sick, and they just keep getting away with it. I want it all to end now, and your film, like anything I've seen, I think it's hit the zeitgeist, Kevin. I'm hearing about it all over the place. I mean, I just want you to know, thank you for what you've done. Thank you for your tireless dedication to making this masterpiece.
Well, I appreciate it, and I without getting all schmoozy here, I couldn't have done it without you. I definitely, learned a lot about the art of confrontation and staying calm in heated situations.
Well, yeah. Now hold on. I mean, I'm normally not calm, but I do get calm in heated situations.
Well, yeah, but like the lessons learned when we went to the RNC back in '04. That was definitely something that I learned a lot of lessons and how to deal with various situations, but. One of the things I'd like to start by talking about is that everybody out there should go and just Google past donors to the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and start researching who is financing this thing called Partnership for a Drug-Free America and this front that they've given it like it's a bunch of angry mothers, of children who have died of drug overdoses that are all the ones financing this thing. And when you realize that past donors are alcohol, tobacco companies, donors right now are all big pharmaceutical companies, health insurance companies. I mean, it just all makes sense. And you can't really call this thing a conspiracy anymore if you just do that.
Well, flesh it out. I mean, to be clear, they know that it's their alcohol and pharmaceuticals that are killing 99% literally, so they know how to give you a boogeyman to go after instead of their stuff. Prohibition was ending, and it was the alcohol makers, the distillers who did come out and push for going after marijuana, and they didn't call it hemp. They even had ad campaigns. They admit they programmed it to do so. I mean, this is diabolical.
Yeah, and as crazy as it sounds, is I really and most people are always going to argue this about the whole I just want to get high argument, and that's what they've done so well. I don't think that there's hope for our country until we do legalize marijuana. And
well, Kevin, do I use any drugs?
No. Not at all.
I mean, I don't even drink anymore. I hate marijuana. I mean, we've been friends, been a lot of parties together. I wouldn't say drink more than a couple beers.
Yeah, I don't drink anymore.
And I know decades ago, I mean, it's been 10 years since I've seen you smoke pot. And the whole point is most people that are against the drug war don't even use the stuff. They just know it's a fraud.
Right, but that's, but the government is going to continuously use that thing of just like, oh, look, it's a bunch of stupid tie-dye wearing hippies who want to legalize this stuff so they can get high. And they've used that same kind of line, and it's still working today. And it's still working today when people bring it up and I don't know if you follow groups like MPP, who's a marijuana policy project, and they're fighting for medical marijuana.
Sure, Willie Nelson's involved, Mark Stepnoski, the Dallas Cowboys, sure.
Yeah, and these they're fighting a good fight out there, but there's also another really good documentary on Showtime that I would urge everybody to see called In Pot We Trust, where it kind of shows what was going on here in Southern California and the DEA raids and how they track down the marijuana and how they're and that's another thing the drug war has created too, is that we have 11 states now that have legalized medical marijuana, but you still have the federal government coming in and stepping in on it. So I would say marijuana is at the nexus of this whole thing, and so it's also at kind of the nexus of like the state versus federal. And really, when I go to universities, and I've been doing more and more speaking at Memphis, Tennessee on the 15th. But people, one of the questions that always comes up is just saying, so you're saying we should just legalize drugs and kids should be my sons and daughters should be allowed to buy crystal meth at the 7-Eleven and PCP. That's what you're saying? And that's how the drug warriors have sold this thing, is like that would be the alternative to like what we have now. That's how, and they've done a really good job of making everybody believe it.
Well, an even bigger issue is we've gone from 300,000 cops to 2 million cops. We've gone from 500,000 people in prison to 4,000 behind bars and 4 million more in the system. And it's growing. Now they want to go to 3 million cops. They're talking about going to 4 million cops in the next decade. They all got to have something to do. Now, back when we had 300,000 cops, they'd come if your house got robbed or your car got stolen. Now they won't come, but they will set up a checkpoint or taser you for talking back. I mean, this is done scientifically by design to bring us into tyranny. Like you said last hour, they've set up the drug war. They have created it, and now they're just flipping it into the war on terror. Kind of like they said, oh, it's just brown-skinned Al-Qaeda. Now Fox every day, there's blonde-haired Al-Qaeda. They're everywhere. That's to make the people the terrorist, the government the good guy.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, back in, the late 80s, we were being told on the news, like, there's crack dealers on every corner, and, oh, my God, there's crack everywhere, and I'd go outside, and I know it was in the ghetto, but the media and the government worked very closely to try to blow this thing into some sort of epidemic proportion.
Meanwhile, who was shipping it in? Your film covers that.
Right, and exactly. And Reagan is the one who, came up with the Drug Act of 1986 or 87.
And he was a total puppet being run by Bush Sr.
Yeah, and I mean, these guys basically discovered, like, what an incredibly easy way it would be to control entire populations of people with crack cocaine. It's cheap. It's fast.
Meanwhile, it's now known that Nixon drank hard whiskey every night and took downers.
Oh, that guy was insane. It's insane, and it's just what makes my blood boil is to know. I mean, look, everybody, who are you going to talk to who's going to still sit there and say, yeah, Nixon was a good president? I mean, everybody has come to the realization that Nixon was a crook and a liar and a thief and a cheater and a psycho and all those things. I mean, I would say it's pretty much unanimous. And yet we are still engaged in his drug war. And everybody just seems to be okay with that. Nobody seems to question that.
Okay, there's so much in your film. I want to go through it. I mean, you got Tommy Chong saying Schwarzenegger smokes pot with him. You've got him in jail. You've got Freeway Ricky Ross, the only interview with him out of prison. You've got, I mean, this thing is insane. Because I keep saying 4 years. How much time did you really spend making this? I mean, I remember.
Well, it's like 4 going on. I mean, 5 going on 5 years if you're going to include like the festivals and.
I remember you consulting with me and sitting around your table saying, "What do you think I ought to put in this?" and going and doing shoots with you and stuff and doing research with you 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was like the summer of '03. I think that I was really the film Ron Mann's Grass, which is a great film narrated by Woody Harrelson. And I think Chris Athenis was playing it on local access TV in Austin, and I actually saw it there for the first time, and I was like, wow, this is a great film, but somebody needs to do a film like this, but cover all drugs, not just marijuana.
Let's see how seeds plant seeds, and what grew out of that now like 50 times on Showtime, super popular. People, I mean, I've heard it like 4 or 5 times the last 2 weeks on the street, in the gym. I hear people going, have you seen the new American Drug War? It's incredible. And that's just your first film on this. You're planning to make more, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's walk through a basic rundown. Again, we've got it up on Infowars.com for sale right now, folks. You can call 888-253-3139 to get it, or go to AmericanDrugWar.com. Kevin, give us kind of a synopsis, a wide view, then let's focus in on key areas.
Well, I kind of follow a timeline, starting off with the creation of the DEA in 71, and I parallel that to myself as, growing up as a young teenager in the early 70s with a brother who was schizophrenic and had a drug problem, and also older parents. I was a baby of a family, a very common thing of having, older corporate parents who are both heavy drinkers. But my parents were not the type of people that, ever beat me or got in fights or...
No, your dad was a really nice guy, but he was like something out of a movie, of a caricature of a corporate executive. And I remember sitting around drinking vodka martinis with him, because Kevin used to live here in Austin, and his dad had a ranch out in Fredericksburg. And I liked your dad, but at the same time, it was drugs. Everyone needs to go to prison for them. I mean, I got family that's the same way, not my dad, but folks out in the country. And it's like, but we drink our whiskey every night.
Well, yeah, and see, when we lived in Los Angeles when we were back in the early 60s, and my brother got schizophrenia, and they wanted to blame it on the LSD and the marijuana. And I remember my mom used to sit up at night crying and actually saying, if it hadn't have been for those dang Beatles, if it hadn't been for those dang Beatles bringing those drugs over here from England.
But who actually introduced LSD? It's admitted, declassified. They created the drug culture. They put LSD and the formula on the street. The CIA developed it, and the editors of Time Life books and the aristocracy in this country were taking LSD and were obsessed with it.
Whiskey drinking generals.
All right, continue, Kevin.
So, and in that time I try to, go into, a little bit of the histories learned from Prohibition and parallel the classic gang leader of today with Al Capone. Some people might say Ricky Ross was the modern-day Al Capone, so you could say Ricky was that. Or this other guy in my film, T. Rogers, who is the co-founder of the Bloods. It's funny, he was just on Glenn Beck the other day, and Glenn Beck totally cut him off and was kind of weird with him. But he's kind of breaking out, doing some more stuff himself. But trying to just compare that, because, and a lot of people will roll their eyes. Once again, it's like when people, on the movement trying to end the drug war, bring up these age-old arguments that make total sense, the people on the other side will just roll their eyes and just say, oh, that old argument, heard it 100 times. But you can't debate the drug war without talking about the prohibition of alcohol and what happened with the prohibition of alcohol.
And we're going to do that, but before I forget, let me throw this in. The one good argument they've got, and of course at its base it's still a fraud, but it sounds good, is look at these gangbangers. Look at how nuts these drug heads are. Look at all the crime and murder associated with it. Look at all the money, and it's almost like a class thing. Look at these poor people getting rich. They focus the drug war down on the low-level distributor, retailer level, and they make it a racial thing, just like in the movie The Godfather, which is based on a true story, where he says, we'll keep it in the colored areas. They're animals anyways. Let them lose their souls. And so that was the attitude. The red light district was always on the other side of the tracks. So it was also a way, like in Thule, as you cover in the film, to wage war against them. But their main argument is, well, look at all the money, look at the crime. You're always going to have criminals. It made criminals move into drugs. So we're not for the criminals that are involved in robbery and other things. It's that you now gave them more money, more funding, more power, a way to corrupt police, just like with Prohibition, as you cover in the film.
Well, yeah, I mean, and let's face it, if we outlawed cigarettes tomorrow, then these street gangs, the Bloods and Crips, would be selling cigarettes tomorrow. You understand? It's just real simple. I mean, if you outlawed gasoline, then the Bloods and the Crips and MS-13 will be selling gasoline tomorrow.
Yeah, they're rogues.
I mean, it's the black market. It's like child pornography or whatever. It's the black market, and so when you keep this stuff in the black market is who's going to do the distribution,
and then it's going to get bigger.
Yeah, and the black market doesn't care if your 14-year-old daughter is getting hooked on cocaine. because there's no controls. There's nobody checking. So, regulation will always work better than prohibition, and history shows that over and over again.
Yeah, we're not saying, they always say, oh, you want to sell heroin at the store. Well, back when they did sell heroin and anybody could buy it at the 5 and dime, we had a much smaller amount of people on it.
No, they've actually done studies on per capita basis that shows really that by outlawing strong narcotics, the same amount of people per capita do strong narcotics. And it's just, people want to think like, oh, God, if you legalize heroin, everyone would start doing it. Well, you know what? In reality, and I've known a lot of drug heads, most people that I know have tried heroin don't like it. They do it one time, it makes them throw up, and they're like, oh, God, you know what I mean? It takes like a certain kind of screwed-up individual to want to go down that path, and they're going to do it regardless of whether it's against the law or not.
Well, no, that's the experience I had. Every drug I ever tried, except for alcohol and cigarettes, which I loved, I hated it. I mean, one time I had a good-looking girl I was going out with, and she wanted to do some ecstasy, and I'd done that a few times, didn't like that, and she said, oh, well, take this little pill to make you feel good. And I was like vomiting and depressed. And I was like, what the hell is this? Oh, it's heroin. And I was like, my God, I'm not hanging out with you anymore.
Yeah, no, I know.
I mean, laying in a bed having like hallucinations of ghosts drifting across the ceiling is like some Edgar Allan Poe movie is not fun.
Yeah, but at the same time, too, what's classic about that is that, I think alcohol is probably one of the strongest, most mind-altering drugs as well.
You better believe it, and I love it.
Yeah.
I'll go jump in a big keg of whiskey like the mouse in the cartoon and never to be seen again.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it is kind of a slap in the face when you come from a hospital watching, your loved ones. And when you go into these, when my mom was dying of liver failure, I'd go into this ICU unit and there would be like a whole bunch of older people kind of in her same boat. And it was just like this weird, horrible vinegary smell that you could just smell like this is what the end of the line is like for an alcoholic. And this is really where most hardcore alcoholics are going to end up.
Well, here's another story. I had a really good childhood friend who looked totally healthy. All of a sudden, he collapsed. He went in, they said, your liver's totally fried. You'll maybe live 10 years at 32 years old if you totally stop drinking now. And then his mom took him home, trying to take care of his girlfriend would come over and sneak vodka to him, and he went into total organ failure and died. And he was on the respirator when I was there, conscious, and they were saying, we're going to quit giving you the drugs. It's not keeping you alive. You're about to die. And he was like trying to move and get off the gurney, and you could see in his eyes, hey, buddy, you're dead. And it was horrible.
Yeah. No, and it's just, but on top of that, could you imagine that those people would be in trouble for the law and being in that situation?
No, exactly. It's a disease. It's something your body's addicted to, and the government knows that, so they make it illegal so they can control it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's absolutely, it's really being controlled. At this point right now, when I hear, Bill O'Reilly like poo-pooing what Esai Morales said about my film, I just look directly at him like, well, he's supporting the pharmaceutical company.
Okay, I haven't seen this yet, but I'm told that it's already up on Prison Planet and InfoWars. Trey was just saying they have it. By the way, Sully Costello is on the show tomorrow. We did call and get through to him. He is on the show tomorrow. Cool. So thank you for that, Kevin. I forgot the point I was going to make when I put out the Sully Costello point.
The Bill O'Reilly?
Yeah, the Bill O'Reilly. Tell us what he says.
Bill O'Reilly has his pinhead of the day.
Pinhead.
Yeah, call him just a pinhead. It's called Patriot or Pinhead, and it's tonight. Esai Morales. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Was on Bill Maher, and if you have the clip, you should play it because the way he put it was really great. But he was talking about how we're living in an age now where the privatization of all these government functions are basically just like looting the country. And our government is waging these like phony propaganda wars to allow these corporations to get away with this. And he put it in a really good way. And he just goes, and by the way, right now, if you go to YouTube, you can check out this film, American Drug War, where they talk about how our government's been caught shipping in the drugs. And it disappoints me a little bit because I'm a Bill Maher fan. I'll admit it. I watch Bill Maher every week.
He's an operative, just like O'Reilly.
It just seems like, but he seems like he'll just get that far. And once you talk about Building 7 or any of those things, he just like turns, And it's just like, it's very, it's very interesting to watch, like where Bill Maher's, suddenly just like, oh, that's crazy. That's
well, hold on. Let me just tell him, we're running out of time. Trey has those. Can you move him on a thumb drive to this computer? He's got the Bill Maher, and he's supposedly got the other thing too. But that's good news. I mean, when the Defense Department, and when it's Bill O'Reilly or Sean Hannity, it's Defense Department.
Yeah.
I mean, that's come out that they're Defense Department run. And again, it's not our military anymore, folks. And your son who's in the Army isn't involved. It's the higher-ups, psych warfare. When they do this, I mean, that means it's hurting them. They're scared. Because they all know. Bill O'Reilly did pieces back in the 80s, I've got, where he admitted JFK was killed. He said E. Howard Hunt did it. He said the government shipped in drugs. He did whole pieces showing video being loaded, cocaine at El Pongo. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it's the same stuff Silly talks about, but I didn't know there were newscasts. Bill O'Reilly knows everything. He used to do shows about the New World Order.
And that's one of the points I try to make with my film. Look, I don't take my word for anything. I portray myself as like an average guy who grew up in the suburbs with, upper middle class parents. These stories that are told in my film come directly out of the mouths from the people that were there firsthand. Ricky Ross tells the Ricky Ross story. Sully Castillo tells the Sully Castillo story. And, I've got a clip of the former head of the DEA, Rob Bonner, admitting that this happened. So it's like, I don't care what anybody says. You have the former head of the DEA admitting that it happened. It's like game over. And yet they're going to go, conspiracy theory. The head of the DEA just admitted it. It's like,
Well, this is what I try to do with my show, folks. It's not obsess on one issue or which group runs it or how the hierarchy operates. We spend some time on that, but it's fighting the phony drug war. It's fighting how they force medicate us to the water supply with the sodium fluoride and chlorine and other things. How they are carrying out eugenics against us. Have you seen Endgame, Kevin? I need to send you a copy.
Yeah, I've watched it. Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
What'd you think of it?
I like it.
But that's the whole angle of they actually think they're God and they've been poisoning us all along. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I'm sure you talk about this all the time, but, people need to start pulling away from pharmaceuticals. Try to start now. Try to wean yourself from any pharmaceuticals you're on. Now, if you've got... they're even finding out that all this cholesterol stuff is a big conspiracy.
Oh, no, your body actually needs cholesterol. It's the trans fats that are killing people.
Yes, I mean, they've even, I've got my doctor telling me, I need Lipitor, and then I find out that that's, a whole other, you know what I mean? It
gives you heart attacks. You know what? Let's play some clips. You want to play Tommy Chung, Mike Rupert, the drug war trailer, Judge Joe Arpaio. Which one you want to play?
Oh, God. Wait, are you talking about the bonus ones?
We're just going to play audio off of these, the clips you sent us. You want to play Joe Arpaio clip, Drug War trailer? You want to play Mike Rupert?
Don't play the trailer. I don't know, but I guess play Arpaio. That's kind of fun.
Okay, and then we'll play Mike Rupert and Tommy Chong. Here's Joe Arpaio. Folks, you got to get the film, plus 3 hours of extras. He worked on this almost 5 years. So I'd say this is like 5-6 films. Kevin, what would you say?
Well, yeah, I mean, and I had even had people from Showtime talking to me about doing a series out of this, and I actually had the outline, almost enough footage for an entire series, minus a couple of throughput, hosting type narration segments. The negotiations drug on, and I said, I got to get this thing out there.
Good job, Kevin. And now it's hot, and now you'll get your other film. Let's go ahead and roll Lord Arpaio.
Good. The only way you're going to sell this because you got me on it. You know that, don't you?
I'm sure.
You're not going to sell it because of the ex-governor of New Mexico, who's a has-been, or McCaffrey. All these guys are a has-been. Why are you wasting your time talking to has-beens? I'm still here. I'm still around. You thought I was bashful, huh? What?
He's loving this.
Hey, I do this in my sleep. They should be punished, and I hope that they're being punished on 12-cent meals. You guys like the food? Do we have what is this? This is what we don't have 3 meals a day. Where's that guy that weighs 600 pounds here? I just saw a guy, 600 pounds. Where? Let me tell you something. We don't have 3 meals a day. This is brunch. Brunch. Open it up, will you? Brunch. Probably donated. We only have donated. What year did it expire? It looks like 20 years ago it expired. We bake our own bread. And then we usually have bologna, or green bologna. Sometimes it's green. See what it is today. Yeah, it is a little green. Yeah, you see that? Now that's one meal. That's 12 cents, okay? Now tonight they'll have a hot meal, depending on the donation.
So the video's even more powerful. Just a total thug, drunk driving, running over things, literally plowing his car into businesses, stumbling around, arresting people if their swimming pool looks like it's dirty, spying on everyone, no Bill of Rights, random checkpoints, and he just stumbles around just bragging how powerful and great he is. Just total mentally ill thug ruling.
And people in Phoenix, most people, they love him, or they say they love him. I mean, you're hard-pressed. I mean, I would go into a coffee shop, and you get some young kid there that you could tell doesn't agree with them, and you would say, well, what do you think about Joe Arpaio? And they would just sit there and look at you and go, I love him. He's great. You know, it's literally that kind of mentality when you're in Maricopa County. I mean, people are literally, like, people are so afraid of him that they won't even, like, say anything bad about him. That's how afraid they are.
How long did you spend with this guy?
I just spent a couple of days there. It was a long couple of days. Oh, man.
I mean, talk about the atmosphere in there.
A total egomaniac. He made me, like, I had to, like, wait out in the sun for, like, several hours. And he pulls up, and it wasn't a limousine, but it was kind of like a stretch car. And I know it was like a big armored, like, town car. And he finally pulls up like a rock star. And these guys come out, and he's like, all right, I'm going to take you on the tour of the thing. And he just turns it on, you know, and, you know, he's a character. He's crazy. Back at that time, he was talking about having his own reality show where it's going to be a reality show of him just being mean to prisoners. And what I love, too, is that he talks about how a lot of the prisoners there are awaiting trial. So you've got thousands of people there that haven't even been convicted yet, right? And yet then when you turn around and I go, well, do those guys do they have to eat, like, rotten food? And he's like, of course they do, you know? They need to be punished. And I was like, okay, so the innocent people, they're not innocent. Nobody here is innocent. And it's like, okay, but they haven't been to trial yet. Well, trust me, they'll be guilty.
Kevin, I have got this Bill O'Reilly clip here.
Maybe you should play do you have the Bill Maher one first?
I don't have that in front of me, but okay. I have him attacking Mr. Morales, who did show up at the 9/11 Neocon Agenda Symposium with a guy that made a bunch of big movies, the guy that made Enemy of the State and the rest of it. They gave me their numbers. I don't even try to get these guys on. I'm going to call him and try to get him on.
Yeah, I would love to give him a DVD.
Okay, well, I'll call him.
Okay.
We'll even see if the number's still good. That was 2 years ago. That was June of 1996. I mean, 2006.
I sent an email through his website. He has a website.
I kind of babble on this new extra hour show because I'm running everything in here, and I'm busy trying to see if I've even got the audio to this feed. Here's O'Reilly. I don't hear him for some reason. I've got computer up. Who knows anymore these days? Do what? I don't understand. I can't hear you. I got guys in the other control room telling me things, and they're saying unmute laptop. I have unmuted laptop here. So you can come in and run it if you want. Again, this is all the beta test here. This show is already gigantic, but we're just doing everything live here on the fly.
Well, since it's fouled up, try to do the Bill Maher clip first, because you should hear what Morales says.
Yeah. Well,
you should hear his entire rant, because when Bill O'Reilly played the rant, he obviously clipped off all the good things that he said.
Yeah, well, don't worry. We're going to get that, Kevin. Let's go ahead and roll it now. Here it is.
The Patriots is next. Tonight, starring the former boss of NYPD Blue, S.A. Morales, moments away. On the pinhead front, what is going on in Hollywood? The former captain of NYPD Blue, S.A. Morales, said this.
And if you look at YouTube, there's a thing called America Drug War. And it shows how our presidents, from Reagan to Bush, and I don't know who else, took up bags of crack cocaine and introduced it to the world as a scourge. It wasn't as big a problem until the president brings it up, and it seems like they're promoting the very thing they're saying they're against.
Good grief. Obviously, Mr. Morales is a pinhead.
Well, there you go, Kevin.
You gotta love that.
I mean, he on that show when Willie Nelson talked about bombs in the buildings and all the rest of it, he just said pinhead. They don't have to refute any information. They don't have arguments. Nothing intellectual. They just it's like when former Governor Jesse Ventura, he broke it, of course, here last week, but last night was on Hannity and Combs. Hannity just said Rosie O'Donnell. He just kept repeating that word. Like saying, oh, look, people don't like her, or some people don't, so it's a liberal issue. I mean, it's amazing. But the good news, Kevin, sometimes I get negative and pessimistic, but you're a little more positive, which I think is probably accurate. People are starting to get it now, but what they're getting is how crazy things are. We have drug-dealing criminal government running everything that stages terror attacks.
I just think that if people can start waking up. I mean, first of all, I think we as a people, we can't simultaneously plan for our demise and for our future. And I think if we're going to save this country, we've got to just plan for our future and let God take it from there, because these guys are winning if everybody is like all freaked out and running around. I mean, we've got to, we're right. We've got to hold our heads high, and having Bill O'Reilly say that called pinhead, in my household, that was like a total high five moment. That was like a total victory.
Oh, man.
Victory laugh. It doesn't get any better than that. That's like pop the champagne. So, and I think, more and more people are waking up. I think, even from just a year ago, it seems like a lot has really changed, even in just this last year, the landscape of everything. And I think even the timing with the release of the drug war film was good.
Well, corrupt elites do this all the time, and you're right. All throughout history, it's like Marie Antoinette and the Let Them Eat Cake as they're starving to death outside. And I know historically that's not a completely accurate, but that's the popularized story, and there are real examples of Nero fiddling while Rome burns. They're dealing the drugs, they're shipping them in, they're CPS in people's kids, they're totally corrupt. And they just went further and further, and finally they blew the towers up. And I believe that's why the drug war stuff's coming out now, and that's why people are just saying, look, this is too much now. We can't go along with this. This is too insane. And people now know it's about their survival. When it starts coming out in the San Francisco Chronicle and the Houston Chronicle and the Associated Press with former congressmen giving out documents about how FEMA camps have been built for us, people are finally going, hell, I better speak out, man. These people aren't playing around. Then they find out Bush's grandfather is a Nazi, as we put in martial law, Kevin and I. They're really figuring it out.
Yeah, no, and tying it into modern day with what's going on in Afghanistan, and that's another thing I've tried to tie together was the lessons learned from Iran-Contra. And it's a little depressing when I go, to universities, I talk to the kids, so many of them really are just in this world of Facebook and products and, what color iPod am I going to get this week and video games. And it is a little bit depressing, but there are some kids out there that are trying to make a difference. And so I think it's one of the points I tried to make in this film was to show what happened during the Iran-Contra scandal, bring Ricky Ross, Sally Castillo, some of the people that are actually there in person, and then bring it around full loop to what's going on in Afghanistan since we invaded, and also tying the loop, too, that we're supposedly poised to go to war against Iran, but, who did Iran get their first missile technology from? It's all... it just keeps eating itself. It's just
no, they always create, you're right, the next crises that then they have to clean up. They give us cancer so they can then suck all of our money out of us as they give us false treatments. It's all diabolically. The Rockefellers in the 20s found out about how cancer was communicable, almost all of it, viral, and they put viruses into the vaccine supply. These people are out of control. And I'm just sick of them, and the public's going to find out just how evil they are. I want to open the phones up, Kevin, at 512-646-5400, 512-646-5400, either on the American drug war, the police state, or if you're in San Francisco, as I know some of our listeners are, where the communist death troops, that's what they are the secret police, the death squad is the word I'm looking for, and they are there in England and in Paris and other places. Now they're here everywhere they go. They just grab any Tibetan signs, beat people up, and the police are ordered to attack anyone they order them to attack. And Kevin, can you believe this is happening?
You know, it on one level, yes. On another level, no. I mean, you know, I believe it's happening just by watching, you know, what's been going on, and obviously the final push. You know, there's no telling like what the final push is going to be in the final days of this Bush administration. And you know, it's scary and exciting to like wonder what kind of transition we're all getting ready to have from that. But you know, it's you know, like you've been saying for a long time with the foreign troops, you know, and using the Olympics to do that is just so classic. You know, it's just once again, it's like a bad script writer, like just down to 9/11, everything like that. It's like if you took like the worst Hollywood script writer, it's as if like this whole thing is being written by a total hack, because it's just like it's so obvious. You could just go, okay, now they're going to do this, and it's just, you know, and then they do. You know, I don't know what else to say.
Well, it is hidden in plain view, but they do that scientifically, not just aiming at the lowest common denominator, but to dumb down the debate, really making us all dumber. I mean, if you grow up around real debate and dynamic discussions and everything, it increases your intelligence, your critical thinking. But even if you're born genetically smart and then nature, you know, smart, you get good nutrition, taken care of, learn, still being around a bunch of morons dumbs you down. Yeah, and once again, just like that movie Idiocracy, you know, which I feel, you know, maybe anybody who can say a straight line or sentence they call a fag. He's like, yeah, hey, exactly. I have rights to the judge. The judge goes, shut up, fag. Yeah, no, I mean, it's exactly, I mean, that movie hit it on the head, and it's just so weird how that movie just kind of came and went without, you know, it just stayed off the radar screen. You know? Well, you got a guy like Mike Judge, who, by the way, is a fan of the show. And he won't come on for some reason. Too scared to, but that's okay. Lives here in Austin and out in L.A. with you, Kevin. And he has had all these big hit movies, creator of Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill. And they just said, we've got a control contract. We're not even putting it in theaters. They just said no. And I heard they didn't even make a trailer for it, you know. And yeah, you could watch it, and it's really stupid, but there's like it's a really good, sobering lesson that movie shows in a comical way, which is it was so a really good movie. It probably would have been a hit, and now it is somewhat of a hit on DVD. Everybody talks about it, but that's what they knew. How they don't let the plants have water because the corporation lobbies the government to put Gatorade on them. Yeah, no. It's got the electrolytes plants crave. It's perfect, yeah. Exactly. Let's, take the New Freedom Initiative. It forces, they say, we've got 18% of the kids on psychotropics. This is 3 years ago, and their own memos came out, and they said, we're going to force half the kids on this in the next phase. Half the kids on Prozac and other drugs by writing the criteria with school psychologists that then force it on you. Half the kids on the drugs, and then it causes more mass shootings, and there's more drugs. It's so diabolical. Yeah, no, I don't have kids, but if I did, I certainly, over my dead body would let them give them drugs like that, especially seeing what it did to my brother. I mean, I know he did need some drugs to control schizophrenia, but I without a doubt know that it's the pharmaceutical drugs that killed him, gave him a seizure, and that stuff just destroyed his brain. Let's take some calls. Before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage you to go to Infowars.com right now and order American Drug War, the DVD. Show it to your neighbors. Have a party. Invite them over. Say, hey, we're going to make you steaks and salad or, whatever, chicken and salad. Starting to talk about food. Or tofu and salad. Tofu and salad. What could we have for dinner, Kevin? We could have some nice shrimp or maybe some... I know how much you like sushi. Yeah, actually, I'm into sushi now. You got me into it. Yeah. You wait till I move away. You and Joe Rogan made me eat it in California. I was like, this doesn't taste bad. But you like the fishy stuff. I'm not like into mackerel. Kevin will go to the restaurant and say, I want the fishiest thing you've got. Squid intestines with whale genitals. Yeah. Oh, you have done well. Anyways, I need to quit screwing around. We got loaded phone lines. We got like 10 people want to talk to you here, Kevin. Let's talk to Brandon in New York. Go ahead, Brandon.
Hey, I would like to agree with your guest I was actually going to call and mention a couple things that he just brought up already. One was I was actually looking in the Post, and in the opinion page, they had a whole article covering about how all these drugs they're getting in are counterfeit and have additives that have been hurting people as of lately.
But they're only doing that because that's actually not true, so they can sell you at 10 times the price it is anywhere else. We are the country of morons who pay literally on average 10 times what everybody else does, but go ahead.
Yeah, especially a Canadian.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny, too. Me and a bunch of friends of mine have been discussing this movie, Idiocracy, to no end. And you guys
Hey,
are
wait a minute,
absolutely-
you're talking like a fag.
You know, and I have to agree, you know, because that was my question. Number one, when I first saw this movie, was like,
He's some kind of smart one.
You know,
not
that
sure.
this movie is so excellent. Like, how come this wasn't in theaters, or how come I didn't see a trailer for this? You know what I mean? It would have been such a money-making movie that you figure, you know, they would have been advertising it left and right.
No, but that's the elite's plan, so they don't want you to know.
Yeah, I'd say they buried that sucker.
Listen, they went and arrested Sela Castillo after this movie came out.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like you got to stay right now in Hollywood. There's maybe if you're going to come out with some hardcore stuff like this, it's kind of like you have to navigate your way to kind of stay off the certain radar screens.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I'd have to agree. You know, it's funny. I just took my younger brother to his neurologist, and he's been on Ritalin or Adderall, whatever the ADD drugs is, for a couple of years. And at first, I can understand. He had a very hard time concentrating and getting done with his homework.
But that's normal. Some kids are like that. So because little baby mammals jump around a bunch, we drug them. When your puppy jumps around and runs around in your house, do you take it to the vet and say, my puppy's chewing on things and has a lot of energy? Well, darn it, give it something that burns its brain out.
Not unless you're Ellen DeGeneres.
Hey, you got dogs, Kevin. I mean,
Yeah.
they're puppies if they jump around.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically what you need to do was like what I would do with kids, too, is that you need to just give them enough exercise to where they just can't, you know.
Exactly.
They need to,
They're watching television all day, picking their noses, eating Hot Pockets, and drinking Capri Sun. Or drinking Coca-Cola, and so then they're all weird and fidgety. If they were running around climbing trees for 8 hours a day like I did, there wouldn't be any acting up because they're not in the house.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't allowed to watch but a couple hours of TV when I was younger, you know, much less, sit around and play video games.
Yeah,
you know.
so I had brought him to his neurologist, right? And as I'm driving him there, he's my younger brother. We got a good rapport or whatever. And I says to him, I say, hey, how do you feel with this stuff? Do you feel like you need it? And he's going, nah, I feel like, I could achieve the grades that I'm getting, because now he's doing really well. He says, I think I could achieve the grades that I'm getting without taking this stuff, right? So I said, hey, have you ever brought it up to my mom, right? We both live with our mother still. And he goes, no, I haven't. Or he said, yes, he had. But she is under the belief that this is the miracle drug that's helping him get his grades.
Yeah, what they are is, they love quick fixes, and it's a loving thing the mommy does.
Oh, yeah.
Listen,
yeah.
I appreciate your call. I got to jump because we got 10 of them for Kevin. But the larger issue here is, this is how this all started. Even 100 years ago, even 80 years ago, it was a class thing to be able to get a doctor to come out to see you. They were expensive. They were somewhat rare. Medicine was really worshipped, and it was a big deal to have the doctor come out to your farm or ranch. And so people love the medical system, and they see it as a loving thing to do. And Kevin, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, and that's and now it's completely been blown out the other way. Now the healthcare system has made it so you're lucky if you can see a really crummy doctor, and the doctors will just prescribe you anything. It just seems like when you go to the doctor now, they don't even really test you or do anything. They'll just write you a bunch of giant prescriptions.
And that's because they're not going to treat the hernia or the compacted disc or the impaction or the cyst in your uterus. They're just going to put you on Prozac, and that started almost 18 years ago, 17 years ago with the Gulf War.
The problem is that the second that law enforcement and prisons became profitable, the second that the whole health industry became just this total profit-driven monster, it was kind of on a doomed course.
Well, yeah, it's the insurance companies. They don't want you to get real care.
Yeah.
And now a computer screen tells doctors what they can do.
And that's exactly another reason why they're also against medical marijuana, because, one, people can grow it on their own. They can regulate it themselves. People that get on it, stop going to the doctor, And there's just a million reasons why they don't want people to use medical marijuana, because they all lead to one thing, and that is profit.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and take another call here, and let's go ahead and talk to Steve in Utah. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, Steve.
How you doing? Great guest today. I just wanted to comment. A couple weeks ago, I guess I was a victim of the drug war. My house was raided for nothing more than, the herb. So I just wanted to comment on that. And I've had a very close friend of mine die from heroin usage. And while I was being arraigned, I was in with several others that had heroin-related cases, either robbery or, something to do with heroin. And I believe they probably all started out using the Oxycontins and then moved on to the harder stuff.
Yeah, let me comment on that since you bring that up, and I appreciate your call. I'm sorry to hear that happened to you. Well, Kevin, you've had your own experiences.
Yeah, with OxyContin. Yeah, I mean, I myself became addicted to OxyContin, and it reminds me that makes me realize an interesting point. And isn't it interesting that you don't really hear stories about the government shipping in giant amounts of marijuana? Because, it doesn't fit their whole agenda. I mean, it's another kind of interesting angle on this whole thing.
Well, that's what happens is you go to the doctor for a hurt back, and they give you something that's synthetic heroin. And then Rush Limbaugh, I remember hearing him hundreds of times back when they would point out that crack, a black guy would get 25 years, but then a lawyer caught with 3 8-balls wouldn't get a month. And Limbaugh would defend that, and then when he was caught with 100+ pills a day, I mean, we're talking a decade in prison, doctor shopping, he doesn't get in trouble, and he's still for the drug war. I mean, they're just hypocritical bastards.
Yeah. No, that's why I like the thing in the film where Tommy Chong forgives him while he's sitting in prison. That always gets a big laugh and a big cheer in the theater.
Yeah, tell that story, and also tell what he says about Schwarzenegger. People need to get the film to see this at Infowars.com. But
that's in the extra. Well, he just Tommy was arrested not for marijuana charges, but he was arrested because his son was using his face and his name to sell these expensive handmade glass pipes on the internet. They were making some serious money. The DEA actually placed an employee inside of their company to, do the phone sales. And the DEA then would set up these phony head shops. And they set up a phony head shop in Pennsylvania, in a county where it's illegal to ship paraphernalia into. And they created a phony buy. Which made it so the Chongs had committed a felony.
And that's absolute entrapment. So they had the person on the phone to make sure that the other people in the family with the Chongs or the company didn't do the right thing and not sell to the county, to the city. And I mean, again.
Yeah, because the Chongs all knew that they weren't supposed to sell to that county, and they'd even told their employees that they weren't supposed to do it, and yet it happened anyway. And the guy that did it, disappeared. And they never...
Well, that's what they always do. I mean, I saw this about 4 years ago in the Seattle papers. It was in several of them, and the major papers, the Seattle Times and others, reported that in the nice area of Seattle, the majority of the bars are now owned by police. And they said the police go in the bathroom and they sell drugs to each other. It's not even an informant in the bathroom selling to somebody. They sell to each other, and then they take it, and then they don't even bother now to give the bar to another cop. They then own it. I mean, it's like Dallas, where they pull over random cars and throw bags of chalk in the back and take their car and home. I mean, it is.
What sucks is that, your average cop doesn't make that much money. Your average guy in the military doesn't make that much money. So it's real easy for them to be controlled by these kind of things. And at the same time, it's hard for guys like us, Alex, to be in a position to make films and do all that, because it takes money. And the government has also done a good job at convincing most people that if you're going to spend your life protesting, and if you're going to, be an activist, then you're probably going to be broke and live some terrible, horrible little lifestyle. And so the whole system just lends itself to, you know what, if you want to have a nice car and a nice boat and a nice house and all those things, well, then you know, you're going to have to, like, screw over your fellow man. It's just the way it goes. And people buy into it, and they do it.
Well, and they also call it being winners. I mean, it's a huge joke to them, and I just can't believe how many lives that they ruin doing all of this.
You know, real quick, back to the OxyContin thing, you know, I had gone through many years of back problems, and I had a doctor that actually finally gave me this, like an epidural in my lower back and fixed my problem. And when I told my doctor, I was like, wow, my back is better, but you know what, I need some help getting off of these pain pills. He just kept writing me the prescriptions. Even though I was like going, I need help. You know, he was like, you need to just keep taking the OxyContin. Here's another script. And, you know, at that point I was like, wow, this is really happening, you know? You know, I'm really addicted
I remember
to
you
something.
calling me at home, you know, here in Austin, and telling me, going, they won't help me, man. They just keep giving them to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, they don't want you to, you know, once you're in that little thing, they don't want you to get out of it.
Well, I mean, that's classic drug dealer right there. I mean, that's what it is. The government are drug dealers. The higher-up cops are drug dealers. But that's compartmentalized. Let's take a few more calls. Let's go ahead and talk to Harvey in Florida. You're on the air with the maker of American Drug War, available right now on DVD. And it's the only place you get the 3+ hours of extras on the DVD. So that's 5 hours. It's just amazing. Let's say you already know all about this, folks. Your friends, your family, your neighbors, even a lot of cops don't know. Yeah, it's interesting, Kevin, and we will go to Harvey in a second. I just thought of this and I'll forget. That's what always happens. That's why I always interrupt folks, because then if I shut up, I then forget and we never get to it. In fact, I think I just did it right then. I was going to bring up the point. What were we talking about just now?
This, you know, how the government wants you to be addicted, and you know.
Oh, it doesn't matter now. It was so important. I think about such key angles for people that I want them to think about, and then I just forget about it. Harvey in Florida, go ahead.
Hey, Alex, how you doing today? Hi, Kevin.
Hey, what's up?
I'm glad you got that email I sent you about what's going on in California today with the Chinese troops, that story about...
Chinese troops policing Americans. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, they said it quite nonchalantly. They slipped it on the Paul Harvey News just before noon today.
I have the AP. What did they say when you heard Harvey?
Well, it was a guy replacing Paul Harvey. Sometimes he has stand-ins, and he just said it very nonchalantly. Oh, yeah, and it'll be international troops protecting the torch.
I think if you go to ABC 7 from San Francisco, and I don't want to pull people away from your broadcast, but
that's fine.
It's done later on. I think they're showing actual like live streaming footage of the protests with.
Hey, Kevin, will you email that link to Aaron@Infowars.com?
Okay.
You're at your computer right now, aren't you?
Yeah, give me a minute.
I've got everyone working on it.
Can I send it to Trey?
Yeah, you can send it to Eddie Bear, or you can send it to Pickle Bear.
Okay.
We've got everyone gets their designation here, but
I wish a lot of young people would listen to your show, Alex, when you talk about the drugs and who's bringing them in. It's so important for people to know what it's all about.
Well, that's a point I forgot to say earlier. People get into the drug culture because whatever the government makes illegal becomes very cool, very avant-garde, very cutting edge. There's money associated with it, and so it's forbidden. And they understand psychology. And I know a lot of people like marijuana and you enjoy it. It's just better not doing it. It's just better not doing any of it. It's better not, you beat these people by being healthy, by being in shape, by living well. And, of course, they're going to make everything else illegal, too. That's what tyranny does, to catch good people on their net. But just live better than them, know their scum, educate everybody how they're terrorists and how they're the enemy, and just know that our people are everywhere, our numbers are growing, and that we are. I mean, when we take this country back, I want them to have due process. I want them to have trials. I want to have public trials. And we're going to turn loose all these innocent people out of prison, and all these people that were nonviolent, and all these people that dealt drugs and stole people's children. I'm going to call for the death penalty.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think, and then back to the drug war and the whole possession thing, and, who should go to jail. Committing a crime is what should send you to jail, and possessing drugs isn't a crime.
Yeah, victim crimes are what you get the book thrown at you for, but now they don't do that. It's all victimless crap.
Right. But I think, and Judge Gray puts it really well in the film, where, because people keep talking like, well, but why is marijuana still illegal? Well, he put it, I think, very best. I said this on your show before. He said because over 80% of all illegal drug users, they say it again, over 80% of all illegal drug users.
Yeah, it's 87.
Only smoke marijuana. Okay? So if you remove marijuana from this whole drug war equation, it's all going to come crumbling to the ground.
And that's why we've had, almost 20 states vote to decriminalize, and the feds say no.
Yeah, I mean, they just go like, it's so ridiculous. On world news, they'll be like, well, 80% of all Americans want to legalize, but no, Superior Court, no, it's just...
80% don't want to be in Iraq, but so what? 90% don't want the borders open, but no. 84% want a new investigation and say 9/11 was an inside job. Oh, we don't care what you want. Anything else, sir?
Yeah, yes, Alex. I don't know if you saw those hearings yesterday with Petraeus, and this is something I don't often get through on the line, so it's very important that you know this. There was one senator that had a speech all prepared, and he was talking about how he was there recently over in Iraq, one of the senators, and he went around the prison system over there, where we have the detainees by the tens of thousands.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so... And he went around, and the general showed him around, and it's really doing wonderful over there, Alex. The people in detention are having very good food. They're getting training. They're getting job training. And a lot of them, according to this senator, this wasn't set up or anything, a lot of the people over there are having such a good time when they want to release them, they don't want to leave. They want to stay and do their studies.
So that's our media telling us, and our government saying, oh, in the gulags, they've been re-educated. They love it.
It's all working.
Oh, this was so unbelievably pathetic.
That's what I mean. We have Chinese police ruling over us. They're telling us their gulags are good in our news. I've seen similar stuff, Kevin.
This was one of the funny quotes that I've got former drug czar Barry McCaffrey in the film going. He goes, drug use is down 14% from last month.
Just made up crap. It's like 1984 where they're going, we made 45 million pairs of shoes, Choco rations are up, there's more tobacco, there's more housing, and meanwhile Winston's going, this is absolute crap. I haven't got any cigarettes in months.
Yep.
Yeah, they're having such a good time, they don't want to leave when their time is up, Alex. So it must be really pretty wonderful. No more Abu Ghraib.
Well, those slave camps, those forced labor camps are wonderful.
I've been in prison. I was sent to prison on marijuana charge when I was young, when I was 20 years old, Alex. I can tell you, I was put in there with mass murderers. I was put in there with people that were just released for the atrocities in Attica, and it's no picnic. And if they ever open those doors, I'd be the first one out.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think one of the things, if we have to focus on this thing incrementally, needs to start with marijuana, and needs to start with medical marijuana, and then we need to start by releasing any nonviolent marijuana person who's serving time.
And we need to start with stronger laws. When a cop gets caught murdering somebody or dealing drugs, they slap them on the wrist. No, we need execution. We need the strongest laws for government officials and cops.
Yeah, absolutely. When you betray the public trust, because that's the whole point of my film is, and I open with the opening line of the film is that, now some of the people that I've elected to protect me are the ones that I fear the most. And I think that's how a lot of people feel these days.
Well, maybe Ron Paul, Alex, will make you the drug czar when he gets in.
Yeah, well, I'll be total decriminalization. So
I love you, Alex. Keep up the great work.
Take care. Yeah, I hate drugs, ladies and gentlemen, and food's a drug, alcohol's a drug. I've liked alcohol before. I wouldn't call myself an out-of-control drunk, but, I like it. Cigarettes, I'm a 2-pack a day if I get on them. And those kill.
And sugar, junk food.
Oh, my God, the chemicals they put in food are drugs.
Yeah, it's like, it's like, to me, McDonald's is a bigger drug dealer, it's endless. It's just endless.
I'm going to move fast. Greg in New York, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex. Such a pleasure. First-time caller, big-time listener. Also, American Drug War looks fantastic. I can't wait. You guys were talking about movies before that get killed by the New World Order. Southland Tales is all police state, all really important stuff for people to see about their, possible future.
It's called Southland Tales?
Yeah, see, even Alex Jones doesn't even know about this. It's crazy. It's such a good movie. It deals with big-time stars and how... there's a, second internet that monitors everything, and there's guns aimed at our borders inwards. Justin Timberlake kills people on the beach in Venice. It's crazy.
I'll check it out.
Okay, and also, just real quick, because you guys were talking about the corruption, $30,000 just came out of my police station by some cop. Now there's going to be 2, trials and countersue. It's going to cost the taxpayers millions just because they keep a bunch of drug money in the police station for poor cops to grab.
Oh, look, I grew up in Rockwall, where I would be at people's houses, and I wasn't into drugs, but this was the 80s. Everybody was into it. And the local cop would pull in and bring in cocaine and marijuana. I mean, duffel bags of it. And then I'd go to school 5 years, this was like when I was 11, 12, I'd be playing baseball in the neighborhood. I've told the story before. And then I would go with my friend who was a couple years old, and he'd have like an 18-year-old brother, and I'd be over there watching TV. And, and by the time I was 12, I'd be doing beer bongs. There was plenty of alcohol involved in that, too. My parents had no idea I was down the street beer bonging, sucking down whole beers out of funnels. And then the cops would show up with the cocaine and marijuana, and then the older brother would go off and sell it to the bimbo wives of the rich golfers where I grew. I mean, I grew up in a nice neighborhood, where our 4-bedroom house was the small house. And where there were 20-bedroom houses and stuff, so I was in and around all of it, and the cops just delivered the drugs. It was all part of. And then a few years later, I was in school, and they had drug dogs and pledges not to use drugs, and they were showing us the drugs, which I knew was really an advertisement. And then I remember walking up to cops going, "Hey, man, I've seen you deal drugs," and then they said, "We're going to kill you." See, I didn't understand. I thought, why? I was like, see, that's how I woke up. I'm like, you're a drug dealer. What are you doing here?
Exactly.
I saw you 3 years ago deliver cocaine.
Yeah, they photographed my school parking lot, and meanwhile, I see them meeting up with Lamborghinis at 3 o'clock in the morning because I drive a cab. So it's like, what's really going on if you guys have to have secret meetings with Lamborghinis? And
let me tell you, 90% of narcotics police deal drugs. I mean, they've had 3 purges in New York where they fired 75% of them each time.
Yeah,
American gangster style.
It's like members of that Freeway Ricky Ross task force got in more trouble than Ricky did. They got caught doing more stuff than Ricky did. Ricky had his own set of police after him. It's an incredible story.
Well,
I think the Ricky Ross story will definitely be like another American gangster when it gets done correctly.
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait.
Thank you, Greg.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Eric in Pennsylvania, and then Bill and Joel, and that's it, because we're going to have to end this transmission. Go ahead.
Yo, I love the extra. You should do 2-3 hours extra a day.
Turbo.
First-time caller, big fan. I have a list of statements. I was talking the other day to a high school kid about how the government flies in drugs, and he goes, "Oh, I saw that movie Drug War," and then they spent like 45 minutes on it, talking about it.
Cool.
I also got a prescription for Marinol from my doctor, so I don't fail my drug test and lose my job. I also want to say that THC is a psychoactive substance. It does not make you stupid.
No, I know that. It's in the hallucinogen class.
Right. Aspartame is a deadly poison. It killed my grandmother, and it's making the public very stupid.
But that's okay, because Rumsfeld got it approved, and every monkey they gave it to died, and it gives you basically Alzheimer's when you're 40. Notice how they're admitting we have tens of thousands of juvenile onset Alzheimer's. Now 30-year-olds have it, and they always just so happen to drink Diet Coke.
And the one product that I've used since I was a child is Trident gum, thinking that it was good for me. And I've been chewing Trident my whole life, and now it's just like, man, this stuff is loaded with aspartame.
And now when you get Alzheimer's, you'll know why.
Yep.
Black Ops succeeded. Well done, Lord Vader.
Right. I still have more here. As a kid, I was prescribed Ritalin. It made me very, very sick. It made me pale white, and I was down to like...
Now, I'm going to stop you. The admitted on the insert for Ritalin and the scores of other names it goes under, same molecule, is heart palpitations, heart expansion, retardation of growth, brain shrinkage in size, brain lesions. I can keep going. Sorry.
It's okay. Let's see. Oh, my cousin died when he was 18 because he was going to the National Guard. He didn't want to fail his drug test, so instead of smoking weed, he was huffing some kind of thing, and he died from that.
Yeah, that's really bad. Let me expand on that, since you were. Well, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Well, my part of what I cover in the drug war is how prohibition drives people to doing worse, stupider things. That's a perfect small example. I talk about how crystal meth is the modern day moonshine. During the alcohol prohibition, people would start making up whatever they could or doing whatever they could.
Look, humans have always manipulated their consciousness, and the social engineers know that, so they just made it illegal and they regulate it. So they sell us the legal drugs. They also ship in the main conduits of the illegal, and then they run the local police operations as a double tax. It's not enough they make the money selling it to us. They've also got to put us in their damn prisons.
Right. Could I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was last year, St. Patrick's Day. I was set up by the police and Homeland Security and charged with aggravated assault. They gave me DUI because they said I refused my blood test. And then when I went to take it to trial, they basically threatened my lawyer, forced me to take a plea deal, and I had to serve 3 months in jail for something I didn't even do.
Yeah, I appreciate your call. Everybody who calls in with this, or a lot of people I hear on other shows, they go, the government's dumb, I'm innocent, or the government's just screwing up, or you know, I can't believe I was innocent. We know you're innocent. The DNA testing's shown that close to half the people on death row are innocent.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
They know exactly. Listen, Weldon, that works here in the office, worked with MPs in the Air Force. He said they laugh about ruining people's lives. Look,
they do.
Remember the scumbag bully in school who liked to hurt people and nobody liked him? And I mean, they go out and they get badges, folks.
That's definitely true. I mean, that to me, your average DEA agent reminds me of like the guy in high school that used to like give me black and blue arms.
Yeah, it's all over. It's all gone. I mean, eugenicists. No, I'm serious. Eugenicists run it all. They've already poisoned all of us and cancer viruses and planted the vaccines. I have all the documents. They engineered AIDS. We're just totally screwed. They just do whatever they want. Black op, death everywhere. And they just leave me here because they don't even care. They're going to move against everybody at once when they pull it. And, I mean, Kevin, you know, they've arrested Selly for no reason for being in your movie, basically. And he was one of them. And, I mean, what about you? Have you got any threats over this?
No, not directly, not yet. Not yet, other than I have a lot of helicopters spinning around on my house, and I constantly have guys on my telephone pole. I take pictures of them all the time. It seems like every time Ricky Ross calls, there's like other guys up there fiddling with my phone line.
Well, you know, it's that's because it's a local tap. The NSA just does it from the phone company, and that's the way it is.
No, I think it's because it keeps breaking, is what I keep thinking. Because up here in the hills where the trees keep hitting it, it's like you could hear it like making weird noises sometimes, and then they'll come and they'll do something to it.
Well, Kevin, all I can tell you is you know this. I know you're clean as a whistle. I would have one fake security system they're going to find and another hidden one, and having that hidden security system on a DVR, even on its own backup battery if power goes off, because they're smart enough to flip the power off.
Yeah.
Having that backup DVR may save you. It's saving a lot of folks.
That's a good idea.
You got to go to full surveillance of yourself just to protect yourself.
Yeah. No, I do have hidden cameras around, so that's a good idea, the battery thing.
Yeah. Well, I know you've got hidden cameras. I mean, you had those before. Anyways, oh, my God, it's all over. It is, man. We're screwed. I can't believe this. I just get sick of it. How did so many evil people get in control, and how are there so many dumb schmucks who are just mindlessly thinking the government's good and they love them?
It's, I don't know. All I can say is that maybe this whole thing with the economy could finally be the last straw that wakes a lot more people up.
Oh, no. They're going to engineer that now where they get unlimited Federal Reserve power with no regulatory control over themselves, literally running the entire government. They're just going to they create the crisis, and then they're going to totally bring us to our knees now. And then the only jobs you're going to have, 10% of the college grads now are Homeland Security, police related. I mean, they're gearing it up to where 1 in 10 is going to be one of these people. They're just everywhere, ruling over us, just strutting around, just like in a third world country, poking people with their canes. I mean, it's over. We're scum.
Well, I'm going to stay hopeful, Alex.
Damn them.
I'm going to stay hopeful. I'm going to just go down with a smile on my face.
Well, it's just not funny what they've done. It's not funny.
Yeah, but you know what? It's the history of the world. You know? I mean,
but that's what they say. They go, that's the way it's always been. I might as well be with the winning team.
Well, no, but, it's just revolutions come in cycles, and wars are always, weird, complicated things that you can't figure out. I mean, I'm sure someday when they write the history books on how all this goes down, people will be going, oh, it was so obvious what they were doing.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a call from Bill in Denver. You're right, Kevin. I just say focus on this so much. I'm just so sick of them. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Alex and Kevin, it's a pleasure to talk to you. And Alex, I'd like to thank you very much for being the catalyst opening my eyes and having me look at things a little bit more closely. And Kevin, I have to apologize to you. I have not seen your film yet, and I'm going to remedy that today. And I'm a truck driver, so hopefully it'll be waiting for me when I do my home time. But to the guy that said he used to chew Trident gum, I mean, what is a Trident? It's a pitchfork, and who usually carries one of those? So, kind of makes sense.
No, it's all in your face, man.
That's a good point.
These people love they love the open joke in your face.
Absolutely.
It's like 911. Who's 911? That's the government. It's all in your face.
Yeah.
I'd like to say two quick things, and I'll let you go and listen to you off air or off the phone here. But one thing, I'd love to know what Bill Hicks. I'm a huge Bill Hicks fan. I came kind of late to the party of that, but I'd love to know what his thoughts on 9/11 would be, and what some of the things he would have to say. And also, this is kind of off topic, more to the 9/11 thing. When you were talking to Daniel Sanjata today, I had to disagree with something that he said. He said that it was kind of easy for him to come out because he didn't have a whole lot to lose because he doesn't have millions of dollars and this sort of thing. I think it's just the opposite. I think he has so much more to lose because he's not.
I agree, and I appreciate your call. No. In fact, I almost said that to him, that for somebody who's already big and established, they have less to lose than somebody who's not struggling but just now hitting the big time. They can swat him down a lot easier. Joel in Los Angeles, last caller for our guest.
Yeah, hi, guys. Kevin, I just want to say I saw American Drug War at the Egyptian here in L.A., and thanks for the ticks. It was a really good movie. I wanted to throw out a dot for people to maybe connect to, and it's about the drug khat that they grow in Somalia and I guess in Yemen. Back in 93, 94, I was a rave promoter and a DJ, and I was approached along with a bunch of other people to sell this drug called Nexus, which was made from khat. And
I've seen that.
and it was they had like pamphlets they were giving out to us, and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's just I've been noticing more activity in Somalia, and
that's how they introduced the LSD. Was with government brochures. I mean, the government brought it in, legalized it at first, put it on the universities, had the professors push it. They introduced it, just like the CIA, gave them the ingredients to have how to make crack, and they brought it in and set it up. I appreciate your call, and that was one of the points I forgot earlier. The Taliban had brought opium production, the real Taliban, not the LCIA to Taliban. There's two different groups. They had brought it down to almost zero. It is now tenfold. It was eightfold last year, and the year before that, sixfold, and then fourfold, twofold. But in just 6 years, it is now tenfold. It is double the previous record in the mid '80s. There is just there is opium pouring into Europe, pouring into here, and the troops have been on the news, and they've admitted they just go guard opium fields.
Yeah,
I mean, our troops guard the opium so your daughter can use it.
And in my film, I take you down to Skid Row, where I go down there one day, and you're literally standing on the street, and I look down, and there's literally thousands of little heroin balloons, like just as far as like confetti after Mardi Gras. I mean, just like thousands of heroin balloons, and they clean the streets every couple of days with those big street cleaners. And that was like some of the footage that the LAPD told me, well, you can't show that because it's not like that anymore. So it's...
oh, that's right. You also have them calling you up, telling you what you can and can't do with your camera.
The LAPD basically said I'm going to regret it if I use some of the footage.
But you did use the footage, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I got a lawyer,
And now the helicopter's over your house.
man, this guy.
And now Shelley's going to prison. And
if you saw how close the LAPD helicopter was over my house last night, you would have been like running for your life. I mean, I could like tell you what color eyes the guy had was flying, and he was like right in my face. I mean, I live on top of a mountain, and he was like practically eye level.
Yeah, you live in Lawrence Fishburne's old house.
Yeah,
I'm going to come see you soon.
You got to.
Hey, just to finish up, Kevin. I just want to commend you for the work you've done, the risk you've taken. They are not happy about you exposing their business, and it is their business. It's just the hypocrite. It's so amazing that they are the purveyors of the drugs, and then they also are the enforcers. It's a perfect business.
No, it's a great business plan. You got to knock them for that. And they thought it out well. They thought out every angle of it.
Well, terrorism is also their business plan.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
They do it. And
drugs and terror, a war on drugs, war on terror. I mean, one is like a substance, the other one is a concept. Or, you can't have a war on terror. How do you have a war on drugs? It doesn't even make sense. That's why it's so perfect.
Maybe I can get you back on tomorrow when Selly's on. I need to check what time Selly Castillo's on the show tomorrow. I found out a few weeks ago he'd been arrested and played phone tag with him, but we finally got him today. And arrested for some trumped-up gun charge when he's a former cop, DEA. And then they said, hey, saw you on TV, liked the show, and they were arresting him.
Yeah.
Did he tell you anything else?
Other than, he's going to have a public defender, and he's pretty worried about the situation. And he's just like one of these gun show guys, like there's a million guys, so he's definitely being singled out.
Yeah, to be clear, he goes and sells his books and sells a few guns at the gun show.
Yeah, it's just like this gun show thing.
Well, that's what he was doing, was selling some of his collection for money.
Yeah, we're talking about like a couple of guns here and there.
But that's what they call it straw purchase. And I had somebody try to set me up a few years ago. They kept going, go to the gun show with me, go to the gun show with me. And I go to the gun thing, and he goes, hey, I forgot my ID, buy this for me. And there was like a cop right behind me, and I'm like, whoa, man.
That's creepy.
I mean, oh, yeah, it's this country's gone, I'm telling you. These bastards can go straight to hell, I tell you what. I know.
But there's been tyranny forever, and people have been
but it's like
it's just computerized now. They didn't have computers in the Roman days, so of course, tyranny plus computers is like it's hard.
Well, it's only going to get worse, and I want every one of the evil people working for the system. You didn't escape anything. They're hitting you with cancer viruses. There's a level above what you're in.
Yeah, no, that's what's so funny about people that are out there going like, they're not doing chemtrails. It's like, your house is next to mine, so you're breathing the same stuff. So, have fun when your child gets a giant brain tumor, too.
They're bastards, man. Stop killing us. Man, this is sick. Well, Kevin, AmericanDrugWar.com, thank you for spending time with us. And I'm going to have Trey call you and get you to pop in with Selly.
Sounds good. It's always nice coming on. I appreciate it. And, appreciate all your listeners and fans. And keep it up, man. And check out the whole Bill Maher clip of what Eastside said before.
Yeah, it's up on Prison Planet, I'm told.
Good.
For some reason, my computer's doing something right now. Take care, my friend.
You too, man. I'll talk to you soon.
You bet. There goes Kevin Booth. In closing, we're about to rejoin the show as I was ranting and raving about the Chinese troops here in about a minute and a half. I hope you'll get American Drug War. I hope you'll go to Infowars.com. We're selling it for $5 cheaper than Kevin is. Ha ha. The point is, I consulted on it. The point is that you need to get the film at Infowars.com and show it to everybody you know. Infowars.com or 888-253-3139. And don't forget, you just got an hour and 24 minutes of extra radio today with no commercials except right here at the end. And I got two people in there running the show right now. All this equipment is very expensive. Please get a PrisonPlanet.tv membership so you can actually watch us in here, see the different camera shots. We're going to have guests in here this week. You're going to be able to see the document cam, the DVD cam, all of it at Infowars.com. It is all available. It is all here. And I hope that you'll go to Infowars.com, go to PrisonPlanet.tv, sign up for a 15-cent a day membership at PrisonPlanet.tv. Again, I'm Alex Jones signing off for today. We will now on the internet merge with the live broadcast with key information about Chinese troops in America. Vital info straight ahead. God bless you all. PrisonPlanet.tv. Get your membership right now so you can see the video of the radio you're listening to right now. Bye-bye, folks.
13 made his great grand